From powdered quartz to modern pop culture, fashion tells a story. Our celebrity historian friend Raffi Andonian is joining us to break down the surprising history of wigs, how they got big, who wore them, and why they eventually fell out of fashion. Thanks for joining me, Raffi. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Look at my George Washington wig.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I know. And you
right.
brought some powder here, so I don't know.
Except George Washington never wore a wig a day in his life that we have ever seen. It is a complete myth.
That's wild. That is a wild bit of history. So how did the wig get big?
Syphilis is one of the big answers for this, believe it or not. Think about the 17th century. We're talking about the 1600s.
Yeah.
This is a world where Europeans start to capture syphilis at very high rates. And one of the signs of syphilis is losing hair. And so when it hits royalty especially, King Louis XIV of France, for example, he is not going to be happy about this. He employs, are you ready for this, 48 wig makers to help him get his hairline back. Hairline is in at the time because it's a sign of health. King Charles in England, similar. He started going bald and gray at a very young age. And they're like, oh my gosh. So he started to make sure that his hairline was restored as well. And then what happens as a result is different kinds of wigs come out. It's like an article of clothing. You know, you're going to have different styles in your closet, perhaps.
Sure.
And it may also reflect maybe your status or what it is, particularly that day that you're trying to show. So I'll give you an example. On a day-to-day basis in the 17th and 18th century, you may wear a dark wig, actually, not a white one, for daily wear, daily use, kind of more casual, if you will. But if you're going to be on business, and if you're a businessman, you're going to put on a suit, as we would think about it, or your suit clothing. I can wear something every day, but you're going to wear it to business. That's when you're going to put on a gray wig.
Okay.
When you go to what we would consider a formal black tie event, an evening affair, or a formal portrait, that's when you're going to put on your white wig. So when George Washington is sitting with white hair, for the famous portrait that we know, it's like he's wearing a tuxedo. You wouldn't walk around on a day-to-day basis on a tuxedo, but for a formal sitting photograph or your presidential photograph, of course you may put that on.
Yeah.
But in that case, not a wig. He was powdering his hair because by the time George Washington was president, wigs started to go out of style.
Okay.
And so, but you still like that white hair look, but you're not going to do it fake.
Interesting. Okay. So I think you've already answered this, sort of, because you mentioned, I think, 48 wig makers, but who actually made wigs?
So you have wig makers, right? And this is a whole huge profession. It is a trade. It is a craft. So for example, when I was at Colonial Williamsburg and I was listening to the guy that is learning the 18th century wig making craft himself to reproduce, he said it takes 5 years there I am in the wig shop in Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. It takes 5 years, 5 stages of apprenticing, 5 examinations to be able to get this wig making role in the 18th century. Can you believe that? So this is a serious craft. Now on a daily basis, you may be doing barbering, which comes from the term beard in ancient Rome, which is to shave people's faces. You're not going to do a wig every single day, but the wig making is your kind of prized craft, if you will. And there's an incredible process. You're seeing the different kinds of wigs over there. And part of the process of what they would do is they would shave your head bald, take the measurements, put those measurements onto a block or a blockhead. You ever heard that insult?
Yeah,
Blockhead.
yeah.
Then you take the silk and you sew a net around that.
Sure.
Then you take that net and then from there on you're going to put on the little clumps of hair to create the wig. And the clumps of hair are going to be made of a variety of materials. Horsehair from China was a popular one, from the horse's mane. Another one that you may find is going to be yak. Those are a couple of the high quality ones because they're coarse. You can really work them. There's also human hair because human hair is longer, and that's the one that women would wear to get the length. And believe it or not, the women's hair that they would source would be from peasants in Europe that had generations of donating their hair, or selling their hair, I should say, not donating their hair. And this hair, you would never cut it until age 15 to 25.
Wow.
You would, from the day you were born, never exposed to sun, never exposed to dirt. You're always covering it, never dyeing it. So you have perfect, beautiful hair. And the lowest was goat hair, which if you touch goat hair, you're gonna be like, oh wow, this is so soft, this is so great. Except that it's not easy to hold the style because it is so soft.
Yeah.
So what's funny is now from the wig making profession, it starts to go out of style because, like I said, the wigs go away. So George Washington, he wasn't wearing a wig.
Right.
We don't need this.
No.
He would actually take the powder, like we said, because in the white, in the candlelight, in a tuxedo, looks really good. Yeah, see, now you're old school. I'm going to be new school here.
Okay.
And put the powder in my hair.
Powder
because
in
now
the
we
hair.
want natural health. Because by the time George Washington died in the 1790s, 90% of people were wearing their natural hair.
That
90%. But you may still use this because just like if you go to a black tie event, you may want to wear the white shirt or the white tie.
Yes.
That's going to look really good in the candlelight, in the evening light. So the white is going to still be in informal events, but not the wig itself. And you can see it starts to work.
Yeah,
look at all
totally.
the powder. It is totally working on me. And so as a result, you're going to see this reaction after the Enlightenment. See, I'm not so good at it, though. See on my forehead here?
It's working
But it
for
is
you.
working. It is working.
Absolutely.
Because think about the Enlightenment. By the late 18th century,
Yeah.
there's this reaction against aristocracy, the French Revolution, the guillotine, right, to Marie Antoinette. And there's this reaction of looking like we're fake and aristocratic. So that's why we don't want the wig anymore. We're after the American Revolution. We want to be regular folks, but we still like the look, but we're not going to do the aristocratic wig like the kings did before us.
Man, you always fill us in on such great history. Thanks, Raffi, for joining me talking about wigs. Absolutely. Turns out even hair has a history. Proof that fashion trends have always come and gone. Thanks so much, Raffi.
Of course.